What's up, everybody? Tricks Ridiculous back with another card review video, and in this one we're going to be talking about Ant-Man. Now, Ant-Man is a card that you get very early on. You actually get him during the recruit season, so if you're new to the game, you should get him pretty much immediately within the first few hours of you playing. And he's a 1 mana 1 power card, and his ongoing ability is that if you have 3 other cards on the location, he gets +3 power. So as long as your location is full, he's essentially a 4 power for 1. So that's actually very easy to do. It's very easy to fill up your location to 4. And Ant-Man is a pretty solid staple. You'll see him a lot in kind of the early game as you're progressing through the ranks. But even at the higher levels, he's a pretty solid include in a lot of decks, especially if you're playing a deck with a lot of low-cost cards and really emptying your hand out. Maybe you're taking advantage of something like Squirrel Girl, and Khazar to really add a lot of cards, and then even something like a Blue Marvel to give all of your cards +1. Ant-Man is an auto-include in decks like that. What I would recommend with Ant-Man, I wouldn't play him early. When you're kind of early in the ranks, it's very easy, especially if he's the only 1-drop in your hand, to just throw him out there and just make sure you're using all your mana. I would try to avoid that just because it telegraphs to your opponent that, hey, I'm playing Ant-Man on this location. This is clearly a location that I'm going to invest heavily in, right? So they're going to know, okay, I'm going to, it's easy to telegraph that you're going to invest pretty heavily in that location. So I tend to hold my Ant-Man until a little bit later on to at least, just kind of get that extra 4 power pretty quickly for 1 mana later in the turns. As far as what locations to use them on, just some good ones would be really anything that incentivizes playing a lot of cards there, right? So something like a cloning Vats, when you play him, you can get another one to your hand. I like to do this sometimes where I'll just keep throwing Ant-Mans at a cloning Vats. And then while I'm playing other cards, I'm kind of playing 1 mana down, but then eventually I'll have Ant-Mans all over the place and be able to fill up my board pretty heavily. Something like a Mojoworld, if you see Mojoworld, obviously everyone wants to have the most, cards here because you get that +100 power. So usually when you see a Mojoworld, everyone's going to be fighting to get 4 characters there. So pretty easy to, throw down an Ant-Man there, even early in the game. It's not that, you're not really throwing anybody off by throwing an Ant-Man here because they're probably telegraphing that you're going to want 4 there anyway. And then some of the locations that add cards automatically, right? So Savage Lands adds 2 Raptors, even Shadowland adds a Ninja. Locations like this that kind of fill up your board already, those could be good locations to drop an Ant-Man as well because it'll be a little easier to get to 4. Won't really take too much of an investment out of the rest of the cards in your hand, and you'll still get that boost for an Ant-Man. And then, of course, locations that incentivize having more cards at the location. So, for example, Xandar or Stark Tower give all cards at the location a boost versus some of the other cards, some of the other locations that give a minus to all cards. Those tend to incentivize 1 large card at the location versus a lot of little cards. So if you see something like a Stark Tower or a Xandar, pretty easy to just drop an Ant-Man there. But overall, Ant-Man, fantastic card, definitely great in kind of the early ranks when you're kind of building your first deck, and then you'll probably find that you're still using Ant-Man a little later on in the ranks as well. Definitely give him a try. Hope these helped you. If it did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content. I'll see you in the next one.